Back in the mid and late 80s, I lived in Tulsa, and I was an employee for the city of Tulsa for the Parks Department, and I was stationed here at Woodward Park at 21st and Peoria. The shop where I worked was this old barn, and in recent years, things have changed around here. There's a new surface area for the park employees over here, and this old barn has now been transformed into part of the Linnaeus Garden. And this is a brand new resource for gardeners in the Tulsa area. Anyone who wants to come here and get some ideas or gardening information can come to the Linnaeus Garden. Well, here to tell us about the Linnaeus Garden is Director of Horticulture for the Tulsa Garden Center, Barry Fugatt. Let's go talk to him. Hello, Barry.
Hi, Steve.
Beautiful garden you've got here. Who exactly is this garden for, and how did it come about?
This garden is a dream that is finally being birthed, and we are so excited about it. And who is it for? It's for everybody. Anybody that loves gardening, anybody that's even thinking about getting into garden ought to visit the Linnaeus Teaching Garden. So this is a demonstration and teaching garden. We've got thousands and thousands of different plants, wonderful hardscaping, 6 different theme gardens here, and a lot of well-trained and enthusiastic volunteers. So everyone can come, groups, individuals. We'd love to meet with them.
Okay, just a great place for people to come and get ideas for their home garden, sort of a demonstration garden.
Exactly, ideas garden. In fact, I work that into every opportunity to talks I give. I love that expression. It's an ideas garden, and it's already happening. When the gates have been opened in the past, when we were constructing it, people were coming in here and they were going back to their cars to get paper and pencil because they saw something that they wanted to reproduce when they got home. So yeah, it's all about ideas.
Okay, and just the Linnaeus Garden. Can you tell us a little bit about Linnaeus and maybe why you picked that name for this garden?
Well, you and I know who Linnaeus is. He is the father of botany, and if anyone has done any research on Carl Linnaeus, they know that this man, he lived in the 1700s, and I don't think he ever met a plant he didn't love and want to find out more about it. And so he began to name plants and come up with a system that we still use today for naming plants. So I just thought it would be a hoot to have a statue and name a garden after the consummate educator back in the 1700s for horticulture and botany. So hence Linnaeus Teaching Garden.
All right, and the statue is kind of a story in and of itself, a beautiful bronze work of art there.
We have dedicated it to the city. We are on park land here, and the statue of Carl Linnaeus, he's 6 foot 8 inches tall. He wasn't that large in life, and he weighs 800 pounds, and I doubt that he weighed that.
Hope not.
But he is a magnificent piece of sculpture. I think he's going to be one of the prettiest pieces of sculpture within the city. And but it's a fabulous job done by Rosalind Cook, who is a world-renowned sculptress, and she donated a lot of her time and what have you. Took us over 3 months to get him cast in a foundry in Colorado. So, and as you come up this long Linnaeus walk, he's in an open-air pavilion and greeting people. So not only will we greet you, but the father of botany will as well.
Okay, welcome you to this garden.
That's right.
Well, you said the property here is owned by the city of Tulsa here at Woodward Park.
Exactly.
And the garden is actually managed by some other organization?
Well, the whole project of the Linnaeus Teaching Garden is a project of the Tulsa Garden Center. And the Tulsa Garden Center is a 501c3 foundation. So they are the parent organization for the Linnaeus Garden, but we are on park land, you're absolutely right, and so technically it belongs to the city, but the city is not going to maintain it, and the city didn't plan it. It was all done by volunteers. There's a human story here that's every bit as exciting as the design of the garden itself, and that is volunteers and donors and industry all coming together to give Tulsa a gift of several $1 million.
Okay, well it's quite a gift. It is stunning, and I'd like to take a look at it.
They're good. I never get to see it enough.
Okay. Well, Barry, you mentioned that a lot of the materials here were donated, and as we look at the garden, I see all this beautiful rock work, and I love rock gardens anyway, so this is just great for me. But we see all of this other hardscape material, and a lot of this was donated.
We were just extremely blessed, and not only with plant material, but also in hardscaping material. That we've got close to right at 300 tons of native Oklahoma boulders in the garden that we've spent a couple of weeks trying to get them to at least look a little bit like nature does it. And I know what an expert you are at that, so any tips you give me would be greatly received.
You've done a great job.
Well, thank you, sir. And then the hardscaping material, there's probably 22 different kinds of hardscaping material here donated by Pavestone Corporation of America.
Okay.
And they're the biggest manufacturer of man-made stones in the country. So we've got lots of Pavestone products to look at. And again, it's an ideas garden. So standing on this, I mean, I'm lusting after this. I'd love to have a driveway made out of this material. Yeah. But patios, walks, driveways. So again, people can come and look at 22 different ideas for
retaining walls.
Exactly.
All kinds of things.
It's perfect material for that, and it's the kind of material that even homeowners can do themselves. So, and we'll be teaching classes on how that can be accomplished.
Great. And another thing that you guys have accomplished using some of these dry stacked stones and dry laid paving materials, you've created a great area around the root zone of some of these old eastern red cedars here.
You're right. That was a huge challenge. These old cedars are actually, they're junipers, as you know, but they're almost 100 years old. And one of the concerns of doing this garden with the city was, obviously we don't want 100-year-old trees killed, and so very creative things were done to not damage the roots. There's a grade beam construction in the pavilion so that actually the stone material, when visitors see that, they'll think that's on the ground, but actually it's floating 4 feet in the air above those roots. So we went to a lot of expense and a lot of little technology to try to safeguard these wonderful old plants.
Good idea. And I guess there was a lot of work that went into cleaning up these trees as well.
Ken Pruce, wonderful friend, Ken and Bill Pruce. Yeah, I'm guessing, and you were once an employee here, so you know better than I, but those 95, 96-year-old trees, I don't think had ever had anyone do anything to them.
I don't think so.
So the Pruce brothers, wonderful arborists here in town, came out and spent a week or longer dead wooding them and taking out the lower branches so that we could put a walk underneath them, and they just did a terrific job.
I think they did too. They're really beautiful. Well, right here, Barry, at the top of this large water garden, I see you've got a little bog here, and it looks very natural. I love the way the plants are just set down into the gravel, but there's a function that these plants are here for.
Great case of aesthetics and function coming together. That's actually the main filtration for this beautiful water feature, this aquascape water feature here. So that's almost 10 feet deep and about 9 feet by 8 feet wide, and water is literally pumped to the base of that and then filtered through all this gravel and rocks, and then so at the very top, of course, these very aggressive irises and other aquatic plants to form a maze of roots. So all that water is pushed through all that filtration. Actually, what we like to tell people is we're doing it the way Mother Nature does it.
Sure.
And so that'll be a fun thing to teach people about bog gardens if they just want one in general, or to even include it as part of their filtration system for their water feature.
Okay, it'll be neat to see those aggressive plants kind of fight it out. But I like that idea to be able to utilize some of those water plants. Well, Barry, as we look around, I think this is just a stunning place for people to come visit and just to enjoy the garden, to get the ideas, to just admire all the plants in this garden. I see you've got one of our Oklahoma proven plants over here, the yellow bells. Works really good, one of those good heat-tolerant plants.
Now that the sun is out, the ice plants will be opening up quite brilliantly.
Waking up there next to the coreopsis.
Right.
And I like the way you've just mixed the plants together. I love the hardy stuff mixed with the tender things, sort of a mixed border, sort of an eclectic type garden. Was it a lot of work getting all these boulders placed in the garden?
That was a tremendous job, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a slope over there, and we did that in 100-degree heat last July. And so there was, as you know, as a boulder expert, it's just almost impossible to take a boulder and just set it down and be done with it.
It's like furniture.
Exactly, but these guys weigh 1,000 pounds, 2,000 pounds, so we had to pick them up again and again and again. But I know that Aaron, our construction manager, and the others did, I thought, a very artistic job. They tried to make it look like Mother Nature had been here, and we just built a site around it, and hopefully we've accomplished some sense of that.
Well, I think you have, and the waterfalls are just beautiful, really good sound, and just an outstanding garden. Well, I see you have a small conservatory over here. Can we take a look at that?
We've got a fabulous little home greenhouse, so you bet, and the view out of it is awesome.
Well, Barry, this is something that I know a lot of homeowners would like to have in their backyard. Beautiful little conservatory greenhouse.
Including me, which I don't have. And so of all the things in the garden, I think I'm lusting after this home greenhouse as much as anything. The view out of it is spectacular, and a wonderful floor, paved stone floor here that actually drains. There's French drains underneath all of this, and so the water just immediately perks right through it into a collectible and is sent out to the parking lot and what have you. So it's a home greenhouse. It's not a commercial greenhouse, but we're going to have a lot of fun with it. We'll be teaching people how to do some propagation in their own gardens and how to save a little money, and just the fun of getting your hands in propagating is just a lot of fun. So yeah, we're excited about our little custom greenhouse here.
Okay, I can see some of those classes being really popular in the wintertime.
That's a good idea. Yeah. In fact, I may just move my office over here in the corner and
there you go. And you do get a great view.
The view from it, yeah, it is awesome. Those boulders that you love and I love so much, you get a grand view of that. You get the sight of one of our waterfalls. I think there's 4 or 5 different waterfalls going with a water feature, but one of the prettier ones is viewed from out of here. So they did a great job, I think, of just siting this greenhouse where they placed it. It fits the garden design, I think, real well. So we're excited.
I agree. Great little conservatory greenhouse.
We'll get her filled up one of these days, but it has been a whirlwind tour so far.
Well, Barry, another thing that I like about the Linnaeus garden is the way you've got the different garden areas separated. The fencing here kind of walls off this garden. What do you call this area?
Well, this is the fruit and veggie growing area, and you know, as people that really love gardening, they'll have the ornamental areas of their landscapes and what have you, and in garden design, it's sometimes nice to be able to separate the fruit and veggie and the compost area from the more aesthetic parts of your garden. But we're so happy with this. It has quite an aesthetic look to it itself, thanks to all this paved stone product out here. But we'll be doing espaliered fruit trees. We have the 4 raised beds, actually 5, that we'll be doing warm season and cool season vegetables in. And again, when people come to see, it's not just to see, but it's to ask questions, and we'll give them all kind of literature. We'll send them to the Extension Service to get some of their great materials as well. And we want them to be successful in the veggie garden, just like they are in the rose or perennial garden.
Okay. And in Oklahoma, sometimes in the late summer, some of the vegetables, you know, they don't look so good. So having them in a garden like this, kind of separate, is a good idea. But I look around and everything is looking great right now. I mean, the plants are so healthy, and I'm sure you got compost in these beds.
We do. Jeff with Green Country Soils was very gracious, and all the beds are filled with the mushroom compost. And that's going to be a teaching moment right there. That's a byproduct, as you know, and it is so rich, and the veggies just absolutely, there's no fertility that we've added to this. The material itself has so much life in it that you can see the size of the leaves on those on these tomatoes and the cucumbers and the squash and what have you. So just another opportunity, inexpensive product that if people utilize it in their veggie garden, I think they'll be happy with it.
And that product made in Miami, Oklahoma.
That's right.
We talked about it earlier on our show. Well, Barry, I like the way you've utilized the space here above this retaining wall. You've got some strawberries to sort of cascade over the edge here, and then you're going to do some cordons or some espaliers of some of the fruit trees on here, and a great way to utilize that space.
Take us a few years, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Back here, I see you're doing some composting.
We've got some compost bins, yes, and I'm sure that's near and dear to your heart, as it is to any horticulturist, is why waste all that good material? Why don't we recycle it? And I don't think I'll hurt any nursemen's feelings by saying that, you know, by taking all this stuff in our yards, all these leaves and grass clippings, we can, with very little effort, really come up with a product that's as good as anything you can buy as a soil amender. So in the fall, we'll certainly look forward to teaching some Saturday classes here on home composting. I
think that's outstanding, because of all the material going to the landfills, and so much of that can be composted.
And all the products here, you know, that we recycle out of our own garden, of course, will go in as well. And then we'll be asking some of the volunteers, bring your leaves and your grass clippings up here, since this garden has no grass in it for the most part. It's all about ornamentals and veggies. But yeah, I'm looking forward to our volunteers getting involved in the training program for the composting.
Well, I applaud your efforts on that. Glad to see you're including that in this Linnaeus garden. So Barry, what name have you guys given to this garden?
Well, this garden set off in the toward the very last, the southern part of the garden. We're just calling it the study garden, but what we're trying to accomplish here is to contrast styles. So everyone, as you know, almost everyone loves English cottage garden style with all these different plants and species
Sure.
all billowing together and competing for space. So the entire perimeter is done with that. And then in the center area of the garden with this very modern looking columns of native stone to California, we're doing something very low. So we're actually contrasting a very modernist style with a very old style or English cottage garden style. So another teachable moment.
Okay, and the way I understand it, this center water feature was going to be a different type of fountain, but you got this different structure in here right now.
Isn't that just like home landscaping though? You know, you start off with even if you've got an architectural plan sometime, and you come up with something that may be even better. And so as a budget saving move, we had an old-fashioned Italian Renaissance type fountain there, which was very, very pricey. But you know, this is all donated money, everything's donated here. And so we were, gosh, how can we get the price down a little bit? And the idea was to let's go with these, and the stones were donated. Those are basalt stones. And so we came up with this, and for half the money, probably got twice the bang out of it. So that's a wonderful thing that can happen in someone's own home yard as well.
I think it's just a beautiful water feature. I love that stone. Gives you all those little surfaces for the water to splash on as it makes its way down, and
it's basalt stone. There's only several formations, I'm told, in North America of that, and very, very dense. One of them in the center there has been twice drilled, so. And people tell me that have these things in the wintertime, you get a little ice going down the side of them against that black stone. It's just spectacular. So I look forward to seeing that this winter.
I think a great addition to this garden. Yeah. Well, Barry, right here I see a beautiful wooden arbor with some vines growing on it to give some shade for this little bench. Where did you guys buy these?
Well, as it's probably sounding like a broken record, the benches were donated. And then some of our volunteers, Richard and a couple of other folks, got together and just built these things, and we paid for the material, and they pretty much did it for a love for the Linnaeus garden. I think they did just a fantastic job, even with a little ornamentation with the tiles on them and what have you.
Yeah.
We've got to get some hanging baskets on them in a few days, but just another case of people blessing this garden and everybody together making it something special.
Okay, and with your volunteer program, you guys are really growing that part of the Linnaeus garden?
We are. It's a 12-week training program, and we started training classes when we started construction on the project, so that we would have volunteers ready to go when the project was finished. So we've trained 3 classes, and we're getting ready to start our 4th class in September. But ultimately, we think we'll need an enthusiastic group of about 200 people to maintain this garden and to work with the children and the older groups and everyone in between in terms of giving them the kind of information and knowledge that they need.
Okay, and volunteers, as I know because of our volunteer program at our garden in Stillwater, right. Just an immense asset to the garden. So.
They are, and again, this is volunteer maintained. There's no paid staff here. And as you can see, they're doing an incredible job. I have never been so proud of volunteers in my entire life. And they have planted every one of these plants. They will now maintain them and prune them and mulch them and fertilize them. And then while they're doing it, talk to the public and share that information with them.
Okay, outstanding. Well, one last garden here I want to talk about, Barry, in this area. This is a garden of herbs.
This is a garden of herbs, and we haven't mentioned it, but the Water Garden Society, the Rose Society of Tulsa, the Herb Society of Tulsa, so plant groups are also beginning to call the Linnaeus Garden home, and so the Herb Society volunteer or members of the Herb Society literally came in and donated the plants and planted it themselves, and then Linnaeus gardeners will take care of it. But just one more classic case of collaboration and going on in this garden.
Okay, it is a beautiful garden as well. Well, Barry, let's take a look inside this old barn here that I have so many fond memories of.
Good.
Well, Barry, back in the mid and late 80s when I was an employee here at Woodward Park, this was our shop, and I have lots of fond memories of this building, but it looks a lot different now. So can you tell me what's going to take place in here now?
Well, this is going to be the Linnaeus Learning Center, and it's almost a 100-year-old barn. Mr. Helmrich here in town donated a good deal of money to the refurbishment of this building. And so it's going to be our volunteer center. We'll have 2 stations here with their computers and their phones with a magnificent view out the back. The only thing we did to the barn, other than just paint it and renovate it, was to cut out those 2 big windows to give them a marvelous view of the garden itself. But this will be where they're answering phones and looking up things on the internet and all that, and then the public coming through. We'll have refreshments in here and that sort of thing for them to cool off after they've spent some quality time in the garden.
Okay, and the attic upstairs?
Well, the attic upstairs has all been finished out and it's carpeted and painted, but there's a view up there that you've got to see.
Let's check it out. Well, Barry, the upstairs of the barn certainly looks different now. Back when I was here, there were bags of fertilizer, grass seed, tools everywhere. You guys have really cleaned it up.
We did, and even before you were using it that way as a park employee, there were many, many decades that there were tons of hay stacked in there. But now it is all cleaned up. It's carpeted and refinished, and this is going to be the volunteers' kind of nerve center. This is where their website development's going to be, their newsletter. All their meetings and conferences will be held out here. And then where we're standing, Steve, this is a little balcony overlooking the garden. And so they'll be able to come out here and enjoy a cup of coffee or tea and just look out over their prize, as it were.
It's breathtaking. I do see a fence around the garden, so there are certain hours that it's open?
It is. It's open Tuesday through Saturday. 9 in the morning we unlock the gates and close them back up again at 5, but it is open on Saturday. So we invite the public to come out. There will always be enthusiastic, well-trained volunteers here to greet them and to share what knowledge we have and techniques with the public. So please come out and see us.
Okay, great Linnaeus garden and a great place to get ideas. Thanks for showing us around.
Well, thank you for coming. This makes my day, and it's good to see you again.
You too.